What is up, you guys? This is AnthoNYMetro, and today's podcast is the first ever AnthoNYMetro Q A. First, before I get started, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AnthoNYMetro, and follow my podcast on Spotify, radio.com, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts if you enjoy this content. So yesterday on the official AnthoNYMetro MLB Instagram account, I asked for you to send your questions for me to answer. So that is exactly what I am going to do today. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first question comes from Asoluzzo16, and his question was, how do you think Luis Rojas will do this year? Well, obviously, the Mets were put into a very precarious situation given Beltran's involvement with the Astros and their cheating scandal. The Mets, of course, fired him. They moved on, and they were basically scuffling to find a replacement for him. I know it was a very, difficult situation for them to basically have to go back and select someone that I guess you could just call a second choice. But that's what they ended up doing, and they did pick Luis Rojas. All things considered, I'm actually very excited for Rojas, and I know it may not have seemed like that based on some of my previous podcasts, but, Rojas obviously comes from baseball royalty. We're talking about Felipe Alou, first Dominican manager in baseball history. Of course, his brother is Moises Alou, who was a very, very talented major league outfielder for a long time. Rojas obviously played in the minors for a very short time. Not really the crowning achievement on his resume, but what I thought was really cool is that he's got 5 different levels of managing experience in the minor leagues, which is really impressive. He also has the experience of being the quality control coach for the Mets last year, which I thought was really cool and unique. And after he was hired, we read more into that, and we obviously heard a little more about his duties, and it turns out it was basically delivering analytics from the from upstairs, from upper management, and getting it into the clubhouse and translating and communicating it to the players and to the coaching staff. And that was something that I thought was really interesting, obviously with the way the game has gone over the last couple of years, where it's become so analytics driven and where the front office has had a bigger role in deciding how individual game management is done. So that was really nice. And then, of course, we also did hear this. I think it was actually kind of overlooked, but the Rays were actually looking to add Luis Rojas to their coaching staff. And so that was actually part of the reason why the Mets wrapped up the second managerial search of the offseason so quickly and named him the manager. So to answer the question, in short, I think he actually has a chance to be a very good manager. It's hard to speculate on what he's going to do. He has a talented team. The guys around him, he already knows them. They already know him. Almost every single player, well, really every single player that's been asked about it has been extremely enthusiastic and extremely positive and happy to know that Rojas is going to be their manager. So I think that there's a great opportunity for us to see him be a very good manager at the big league level. So I'm hoping he does very well, and I do personally see him succeeding with them this year at a high level. Next question comes from Atherton10, and his question is, do you think Pete the Polar Bear Alonso will be able to repeat his long ball numbers? So, of course, Pete Alonso led the league last year with 53 home runs, set a rookie record for not just the National League, but all of baseball. 53 home runs is a difficult number to repeat. I gotta say, it really is a tough number to get to again. I honestly do not see him hitting 53 home runs again. I'm not sure I even see him hitting 50 home runs again. Just taking a look at his full stat line, he had 53 home runs, 120 RBIs, a 260 average, 358 on base, and 583 slugging. So that gave him a 941 OPS. You know what? If he can still get a 950 OPS, and he's still keeping that average up over 250, I'm not going to be disappointed if he hits, say, 40 home runs. I think it's realistic that we will see him hit closer to 40, maybe 45 home runs. And you know what? If he's able, again, to keep his OPS up, keep his on-base percentage high, and that comes with maturity and learning to take walks. We saw a lot of times last year Pete was getting a little overzealous, too swing happy, and he was chasing a lot. So those are some things I'd actually really like to see him improve on. As great as 53 home runs are, there's definitely room for improvement in his game. And he's not just a slugger. He's not just a home run hitter. We see he has the ability to hit line drives up the middle to right center, left center, all parts of the field. He's really a true hitter. And so answering the question, I'll say I don't think he'll hit 53 home runs. I think he'll hit closer to 40 or 45. But it wouldn't mean it was a worse season than last year if he's able to improve on some of the other areas that he maybe was not as strong in. And so we'll just end up seeing how that goes. And then the next question comes from Jobo73, and she asks, what do you think the everyday lineup for the Mets should look like? So this is a pretty easy one for me. I think it should be center field, leading off, Brandon Nimmo. There's no doubt about it. The guy has the ability to get a 400 on base percentage. He has an elite eye at the plate. He's an incredible, uncanny knack for walking, and he really can hit. It's just obviously he definitely struggled last year and was striking out quite a bit, and how much of that had to do with his injury, we're not sure, but I have him as my leadoff guy. Hitting second, playing third base is Jeff McNeil. First base, of course, is going to be Pete Alonso. He'll hit third. Cleanup would be right fielder Michael Conforto. In left field, I would actually have a split, and it would be between J.D. Davis and Yoenis Cespedes. Never thought I would say that, but the word is, and the video shows, that Cespedes is down in Port St. Lucie, and he looks ready to go for opening day. If that's the case, I think we're going to see Davis and Cespedes splitting some time out in left field. Pretty good to have those two guys hitting fifth for you in the lineup. Playing second base, hitting sixth will be Robinson Cano. Hitting seventh would be catcher Wilson Ramos. And playing shortstop, hitting eighth, would be Ahmed Rosario. So personally, I think the best way for the Mets to get the most out of Robinson Cano is to limit his playing time. Now, I'm not saying that he should only play twice a week, but I do think that he's slowed down quite a bit last year. And the best thing the Mets could do would be to simply play him a little bit less, not as many back-to-back days, especially day after night games. And I think the way they can achieve that and still stay successful would be on Cano's off days to put Jeff McNeil at second base, put J.D. Davis at third base, and then use a mixture of Dominic Smith and Yoenis Cespedes in left field. Unfortunately, right now we don't have the assurance from the Mets that Lowry's going to be contributing at this point. So anything they get from him is gravy. But overall, having J.D. Davis, who hopefully can improve and play third base a little better than he did last year. Jeff McNeil, who seems to excel at each position he's been in, between left field, third base, and second base. And then Dom Smith, who even made some strides in left last year. I think the Mets have some options and some flexibility. Overall, though, if it came down to it, a playoff game, my lineup would be Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, Michael Conforto, J.D. Davis, Robinson Cano, Wilson Ramos, and hitting eighth would be Ahmed Rosario. So that is it. Those are the questions. I appreciate you guys reaching out and sending them into the Instagram Q&A. I will be sure to do this again in the future. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you like that lineup that I proposed? Do you think Pete Alonso will repeat hitting 53 home runs? And what's your opinion on Luis Rojas? Let me know. Really excited for the Mets season to get started. Let's go Mets.